everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Donald Thomas. Donald, what a game. Oh, my goodness. This past Sunday, Indianapolis finds a way to squeak out the tightest victory I have seen in so long. My goodness. Your initial thoughts while you were watching this game?
I mean, it was a stressful game, to say the least. I was glad when it was over, and more glad that, the Colts were able to squeak a victory out like that, but I got some anxiety. I had to go take some anxiety pills when I got done with that because I had my heart rate up and, but they found a way. They kept fighting and they found a way, and it went past, they had to go into overtime, and, that's just a test of will at that point. And so hats off to them for fighting to the end.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, less than 2 minutes left. Gardner Minshew steps out of the back of the end zone, and the Colts go down 3 points with less than 2 minutes left, and they have to punt the ball to him. I had the game over with at that point. I'm like, there is no way that they're going to be able to tie this and take this to overtime. There is absolutely no way. And somehow, as you said, they fought through, found a way to get a quick 3 and out, only like 30 seconds taken off the clock before they got the ball back, and was able to get down, tie the ball game, take it to overtime. That alone shows the perseverance of this Indianapolis Colts, right?
Scrappy to say the least, resourceful when it counts. I think that they the best part about that win was that they showed some more identity on offense, in my opinion, right? Like that win there shows that they can run the ball when needed, and they also can throw the ball when needed. But it really showed it created identity of guys that had to step up at the right time. And so as you go down the season now, in crunch time, or when you need a yard, or when it's time to get that first down, you come back to these moments. And so that was the best thing I took out of the game. Like when I sat back and thought about the game post game, like what do the Colts really get out of this besides a hard fought game? Like, you found some leaders on offense. You found some guys that you can rely on offense now, and on defense, to get a stop, right? To get a pressure on the quarterback, to make that play in the secondary. You saw guys start stepping up. You really saw that. And I was really impressed by, guys that came out and really played hard. And so it just showed in that game. I was happy with the outcome.
Absolutely. But before we get into this any further, I just want to remind everyone, BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, NFL, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games, available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember, use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So I want to talk a little bit about the fact that, my goodness, Michael Pittman Jr., you were talking about guys stepping up at the right time. Now, this did not give the Colts this wasn't on the field goal winning drive, obviously, but it was in a situation where it changed field position, right? It was a very major play because it changed field position to where when the Colts did have to end up either punting or giving it up on downs, that the Ravens weren't just like, all right, we can kick a field goal from here and win the game, right? That catch from Michael Pittman Jr. has to be one of the toughest, most physical catches I have ever seen from a wide receiver, like ever. I mean, the defender had his hand up in his face mask, knocking his helmet clean off, getting hit right in the back at the same time by the safety. I mean, to be able to hold on to that football and carry that catch all the way to the ground was just a feat of unbelievability, right?
Yeah. And you know what? That catch within itself is remarkable, but it does way more than that. It gets the whole team going. It gets everybody on the sideline fired up. it does something to the O-line. It does something to the receivers. The rest of the receivers can step up. It does something to the defense. It shows how bad we want this win, right? And like that right there, I was like, ooh, boy, I wish I was still playing because that would have got me juiced up. And so I really think that built his confidence up. It built Gardner's confidence up. It built everybody's confidence up to keep fighting. Like, let's go get this win. If this dude damn near got his head decapitated off, right? And he's coming down with the ball and still holds on to it. Like, that shows you how much this means to us. Like, let's all rally together and let's get a win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the Colts had issues picking up the blitz in this game offensively, and oh my goodness, did they blitz. I don't think I've seen a team blitz more than what the Ravens did. 63% of their defensive snaps they sent a blitz on. That's unheard of. There's teams out there that blitz. I've seen it close to 50%, never 63%. And the Colts seem to have problems with it. 5, 6 sacks, something like that, $1.5 billion, quarterback hits, right? And pressures. It was ridiculous. I got a question, though. If Ryan Kelly was able to play in that game instead of Wesley French, would those blitz packages been able to get picked up, or was that just damn good play calling and execution by the Ravens D?
It could go either way. I think that there would have been more communication, so where guys weren't rattled, so that maybe we could have sorted this Mike's not coming. Let's push this thing out to the right. Slide it, push it, right? We're going to disregard this guy. But so yes and no. I'll say this, that the first time they ran that blitz on that third down, I felt like it should have and could have been picked up. But the way that the Ravens designed that to occupy the center so that they can't push the blitz, they can't push it out to get the widest, I was like, "Ooh, that's dirty," right? Because it could have been picked up. But you have to say, this Mike, he's not coming. We're pushing this thing, right? Or you adjust it to where it's like, all right, we got to push to the widest, or you bring your running back across, or you have to bring in a guy to block the widest. Something needs to be adjusted for it because it could have been picked up. Just the fact that it didn't get picked up and he just had a clear shot on him. Then it happened again. And it's a problem when you see the same blitz work 3 times in one game is an issue. And so that's going to have to be corrected. I don't know if Ryan Kelly playing or not would have affected that. I want to say that it would have been if you have a veteran guy that says, hey, he's not coming, push this thing. They're not going to fool me once, but fool me twice. Now fool me 3 times. All right, now come on.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, yes, it could have been picked up if I think there was some more veteran leadership on the offensive line.
Colts defense in this game. Well, screw this game. All right. I don't right now, the Indianapolis Colts defense is ranked tied for first in forced fumbles, tied for first in fumble recoveries, and second in the NFL in sacks. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's unreal. And they stacked onto their totals, in this game against the Ravens. This defensive front seven, we've been saying it all year, has been good. This defensive front seven is absolutely outstanding.
And they're going to have to be for the Colts to be in any type of contention to make the playoff, berth or anything like that, because the simple fact that we're still trying to find out who we are on offense. We're still trying to figure out how, even with Anthony coming back, we're going to see a different offense now, right? So they're going to have to be stout on the defensive line and up front, like, period. And they got to be rock stars all year because, like, they're essentially, keeping us in games at times. And, hats off to the defensive line and the linebacking core of, being like a curtain out there, not allowing, for big plays in the run game and not allowing for, us to just kind of get pushed down the field, right? To be stout, to hold it up, right? Like, we got to and the pass rush, I think, is great. I think interior, I think Grover Stewart, he's not getting as much credit as I think he should be. He's playing very well this year. Like, I know DeForest Buckner gets a lot of credit, but I think Grover does a great job in the middle of clogging that thing up, taking on double teams, allowing EJ and those guys back there to run free and make plays. You can't take anything away from a good 3 technique that knows how to hunker down and take up two blockers so someone can run free and make a play in the run game.
I think most Colts fans understand the value that Grover Stewart brings, but I think you're right. Outside of Colts Nation, across the NFL, they see DeForest Buckner and Kwity Paye, and then they're just like, oh, well, that's their defensive line, right?
Right.
3-tech and the 1-tech are very, very important in this, and especially when you're only going to send 4. That 1-tech is very, very important to eat up those blocks.
Huge, yeah. They go, like they're like the unsung heroes at times, but you hear about those guys and you wonder why they stick around for so long in the league. It's because they just do their job well. They're not gonna stuff the stat sheet, but like if you look at your core, like if your linebackers are getting 10 plus tackles a game, there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're running free, they're making some great plays, but there's times where that 1-tech is he's taking on 2 guys at once, so someone's going to run free. Like and like you see your linebackers always like running up and slapping the 1-tech or the 3-tech in the head, like good job because you allowed me to run free. Like they're doing that right now, and they're doing their job pretty darn well. So hats off to those guys up front, and they just keep bringing pressure on the outside. They're able to get there, and that's allowing us to kind of sit back, right, as from a linebacking core. And make these in the pass game, right? So there's a reason why they're up there, as one of the better defenses in the league right now.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to go to where, right after the game, national media, the callers on the field were actually talking about, and they made a big point about the EJ Speed covering the wide receiver and had the hook arm. They're like, that should have been pass interference. And, Ravens fans and the rest of national media pick up on that and been pushing it hard right after the game. To be fair, I'm looking at this going, that wasn't the only missed call. There was a billion missed calls in this game on both sides of the field. Multiple face masks missed on both sides, multiple pass interferences. There was the stopping the clock, on the Lamar Jackson sack near the end of the game, which shouldn't have been even reviewed because, down by contact on that sack isn't a reviewable thing, and it would have changed the entire process of the Colts could have got the ball back and had a chance at a field goal to win the game at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The refs let this game play out. They did not dictate the game, in my opinion, in that aspect. It's like they sat back and said, let the guys play. But it's early in the season. I'm not used to seeing that. Is that a mistake? Do you think that refs should call egregious fouls early in the season and not just be let it walk? Or do you think this is more of a learning time for these refs this season?
So I think, the refs are graded and their film is broken down on all the calls that they make. I don't know if a lot of people understand or know that, but that is a thing, right? So they're graded on their performance and if they made the right call or even missed calls that should have been called. So I can guarantee you that it's not, just going to go unnoticed by them or not talked about or not have this thing broken down to where, hey, you missed this call. You should have made this call. This wasn't the right outcome for how you guys officiated the game, right? And so it adds on to if they will be a playoff crew or there'll be a Super Bowl crew down the line, and so they're learning and they're incentivized to make the right calls. But like I said, yes, I don't from a player standpoint. I don't want them making more egregious calls if they're going to go against me just because for the hell of it, right? So I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I got called for holding. Like that was not holding. We all know it's holding. Well, what can I do about it now? I got called for holding, and now we got to walk backwards instead of having a big time play. But they have to. They are going to be a little rusty, right? They're going to be a little bit more tentative to make a call at times, and sometimes they're going to be a little, trigger happy to throw the flag. And they're going to over the season, they're going to get better too. Just how we say football teams got to get better from, July to all the way through, January for in the NFL, the officiating crews have to get better too at making these calls and training their eyes to see the right thing and knowing when it's time, no matter crunch time or beginning of the game, to make the right calls.
Absolutely. Zach Moss, 30 carries, 120 some yards rushing this game, plus that wheel route touchdown that we saw in the first quarter. Moss, the last 2 games since he's been back from that broken arm, has played very, very good football. This is week 4 coming in. Jonathan Taylor will potentially coming off PUP list next week. Do you think Moss will have any kind of impact if he continues to play well against the Rams on how much, or if we see Jonathan Taylor come in, or is Jonathan Taylor just that damn good of a back that you just throw him in no matter what?
I think Moss stays to be a starter running the football. I don't think that this is a team where you can afford to have a whole bunch of moving pieces on offense right now, because if you put Taylor back in right away and say pick up where you left off, well, where did he leave off? Right? Like last year, like where did he leave off? Like for real, like what role was he on to where he can just, so he has to get back into game shape. He's got to get back into, learning the offensive line and how they block things, because you can't just take a running back and insert him into something and be like, yeah, run power. Well, how does that guard pull? Right? Like, does he pull like up in the line? Is he aggressive? Or am I going to be bouncing this thing in the backside A gap? Like, I got to get a feel for my line and how we block and how we scheme up things. So automatically, I think you keep Moss in there. I think you give Taylor some reps, get him acclimated back to game speed, test him out, make sure he's good or whatever. I don't think anything's wrong with him anyway, but that's for another day. But I don't think you disrupt the offense right away. And you reward this kid for coming in after breaking his arm, and he's playing well, and he's catching passes out the backfield, and he's freaking running touchdowns and almost two. Like you don't disregard that, right? You know the value of Jonathan Taylor, but we got him on contract. What is he going to do at this point? He can't do anything. Like you go out there and you play. That you're contracted to play this game for the Indianapolis Colts. Go out there and play, and if you play well, you'll get more reps and you'll get your money down the line. But I'm not rewarding bad. It's just me. I'm sorry. When I'm looking at it from a standpoint of a GM or heck, I'm not rewarding. You don't have me by the you know what. Like you're a player. You'll be rewarded for your efforts and your time. Yes, you've done a great job for this organization, but I feel like sometimes we take into like account like the players sometimes in certain situations have too much power and sometimes they don't have enough power. But in this situation, in my opinion, I feel like you should just still be playing. And if the Colts feel like you're valuable, they will reward you. But you can't bite the hand that feeds you either. Like it's a slippery slope in my opinion. It's tough, man, but he's got to come in and play well. Just be yourself.
Absolutely. I kind of feel the same way. I said when even if he comes off PUP week 4, we got new offensive line coach, we got new running backs coach. He hasn't taken one snap of practice all year. Even if he's been working out this entire time trying to get into game shape, he hasn't been taking hits at all, right. Even in practice, nothing like that. You got to build your body up for a game, right? And so I felt like, general rule of thumb is 3 weeks. Running back, you could go quicker, right? You need 3 weeks of practice to get into game shape and understand if you've never taken a snap that season. But running backs, I think you could go a little bit quicker. I don't think he takes a snap week 5. I think he gets his first snaps week 6, personally, But yeah. That's just how I look at it. I'm not there in the training, practice field, stuff like that. I'm not the coaches. I don't know. But that's just from my general, how I've seen the NFL over the many years that I've been covering it. That's how I see it. That's how it generally works out, even with your guys that are, your superstars that can make game-changing plays. They need that time to get acclimated, especially when there's a whole new system around them, right?
Yeah, I agree. And, practice at this point during the season is not going to get you into game shape. Let's just be honest. Like, you're not getting in any type of game shape at practice during the season. Like that's just not even a thing because you got to keep guys fresh. You got to get preserving guys. You got guys they're banged up. You got to take care of your team, and the flow of practice changes as the landscape of your team changes, right? So, this is going to be something that it's not easy to be out the game and to just hop back in the game after having some time off. And I think you're right. I think he shouldn't take a snap his first week back. And I think he should gradually be brought back into the game plan. But I don't think that you just, okay, now we wait a week and then we give it to him. Like if Moss, if he legitimately just starts to fall off, because here's the deal. It's going to be one or two things for him. Either he's worried about Jonathan Taylor coming back and his play diminishes, or he knows that Jonathan Taylor's coming back and he rises his game and raises his level like, no, I got this. And now we see a new change of the guards, a new sheriff in town, and now you got a double-headed monster, and that might be something great for the Colts to have a 1-2 punch at running back, which we haven't had in a very long time, right? So either you rise to the occasion, you play better, or you succumb to it. And you say, woe is me, Jonathan's coming back. They want to give him the snaps, and now you don't play as well. Now you become the disgruntled employee. So it's on him too, right? So you can go one or two ways for both of them. But I feel like you got to gradually bring them in, let them know that, hey, listen, he's doing a great job for us. And then Jonathan has to understand that too. Like, you're still a great running back. No one's taking that away from you, but you haven't proven yourself to just come back in and just take over. Now, if you do and come out and bust a 90-yard run from line of scrimmage, that's a different story, right?
Yeah,
you come in 115 yards rushing your first game back, I'll shut my mouth. But until then, you got to prove that you were that good guy that you used to be when you were all top 100 players in the NFL form, which was 2 years ago.
Yep, absolutely. So we're coming to the end of this episode. Any final thoughts about the game that just happened this past Sunday that you want to give to those watching this?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to make better decisions in crunch time. Catching a punt and not letting it go and putting us in, worse field position. Protecting the quarterback a lot better. Things that we could clean up. We got to clean them up. I think the coach is going to learn from this win. Nonetheless, great win. It took 4 quarters and some. That's something that for Colts fans to hang their hat on, that this team's going to fight to the end. And next man up. And hold on. Juju Brents. Right? Let me give him a shout out. That kid came in, and I really didn't know anything about him from college, but I liked the way he was flying around. He was flying around, and I know it's fresh legs and first NFL game official one, but he was flying around and making plays, and he was physical. He's showing up. I just like this energy. So I'm excited to see him, get more playing time and get more snaps and make some more plays. Some things we just got to clean up on the offensive line. Defensive line, I think, was stout. But I want to see, we'll see what happens this week with Anthony and Gardner and who's going to get the start and all that kind of stuff. But, either way, I think that it's a great week to be 2-1. We are just going to have to keep progressing this season, and we'll see what happens. But I like it. The pesky Colts, don't count them out. Do not count them out. They're scrappy.
Absolutely. I agree with you on Juju. I've been saying since I saw him at training camp when he started practicing, I was like, this dude plays physical. He is a physical corner. When he hits somebody, right? He's looking to jar balls loose. And he showed that when on his punch out on that tackle there at the that could have been, a game, a scoring drive for the Ravens. So great job by him. And yes, you touched on that when you should catch a punt and when you shouldn't catch a punt. I've always been told when I played special teams, inside the 10-yard line, let it go. If you're outside the 10-yard line, you catch that, whether you're returning it or fair catching it. That's the rule. He was at the 12 and let it go. That's not something that I would have done. And I think that was a mistake, and I think the coaches will probably get on him about that. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of Believe in Colts, where the Indianapolis Colts shocked the NFL in defeating the Baltimore Ravens this past Sunday, week 3 of the 2023 NFL season. I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Donald Thomas. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Go Colts.
Do you believe?